Hey everybody, welcome back to more fun at the Red Barn, where we'll see what we get up to this week on our Ferrari 360 swapped Porsche 914. Don't forget the LS car, it shows up in the background all the time. And in this episode, I chip away at a couple more, one less things to do on our way to getting this thing started. And at the end, we got a Wazo update. Wazo's our foster kitty. He got a new roommate. And so if you're into the cat thing, it's hilarious. But in the meantime, let's get back on this build. Enjoy. Well, no surprise. I came down with a case of do-overitis on the air oil separator. And after looking at it after it dried the first time, I had never done wrinkle paint before, and it turns out it's pretty sensitive to how thick the coats are. And I had not gotten an even coat of everything on all three coats, so I restripped it and resprayed it, and it looks, I don't know if this is coming through, but it looks so good. I mean, I'm trying to get it in the reflection, and the goal here is that there's no streaks, there's no lines, there's no unevenness, and it looks, I think it looks perfect. I mean, it came out really, really good. And the wrinkle is very even. It's not big. Last time there was any place, like I ended up, kind of trying to get some paint down in that little gap, and it pooled a little bit. And when it pooled, the wrinkle was huge. And so it turned out to be a bit uneven. And so I did a lighter set of 3 coats, and then I hit it with the heat gun, consistently. And I got my little scanning turntable. I put it on the scanning turntable and just spinning it around with a heat gun on it. And it wrinkled up really, really evenly. So I could not be happier with this. Really glad I redid it. And yeah, so this is done. And I'm not even going to take the tape off it. I got all excited about, unwrapping it to see how it looked. And this stuff takes a long time to dry. So I'm going to go do some other stuff and wait till that dries for probably a couple of days before I peel all the tape off of it. Anyway, so yeah, air oil separator done. Only 2 times. And there it is, all unwrapped. And boy, oh boy, it looks even better. So a couple of other things, lessons learned on how to tape things off. I tried, for instance, on this little brass piece last time, I tried taping as close as I could to the edge, and it bled through. And so this time I ended up taping and just shoving the tape in there, and it kind of pooched out up into that little flanged area. I mean, it's perfect. It turned out great. And then this one had a ton of bleed through last time because I wasn't sure, I tried to tape it off, but the tape invariably led to some bleed through. And so this time I thought, wait a second, why don't I just first start off by putting an O-ring over this and then tape up against the O-ring. And it gave this really, 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 really nice edge. And then up top, I taped down just below that last little flanged area. And man, this turned out, I am so happy with how this turned out second go. It is essentially perfect. Really, really happy with how that turned out. If you remember, a couple episodes ago, I replaced that oil strainer filter on the other side of the transaxle, which is the transaxle fluid filter. This is the engine oil strainer that you saw me take out. And thank goodness for the internet. I watched this other guy's channel where he pulled this thing out, and he said, oh yeah, you got to be careful because on some of these, they will get a hole worn in them. And lo and behold, mine has a hole worn in it. And it is apparently because if you look at how this thing orients, I'm not going to put it back in because boy, oh boy, it's a lot of fun. But if you look at the orientation of where that hole is, it runs right across, and it happens to rub on a casting that's in here. And you can see, right, the millwork back in here they clearanced it on this side, but I guess they missed it on this. So the fun part, the last step that I get to do before bolting this whole thing back together and putting it in the car is filing that down to give clearance to this. And of course, now I get to buy a new one of these. I believe these are about 260 bucks, because why wouldn't they be? Ferrari part. So I gotta file that. Since this is the dry sump tank, and this is an exit, and then you can see this is, you know, oil's in the dry sump tank. It would go through that first filter screen, then it gets passed through that hole, which is this hole, and then through the case, and as you know, run over here into that hole, which is the oil feed to the oil pump that lives down in the sump. And as you saw in the last episode, pumps it through the oil, pumps the oil through the system, back into the sump, and then the scavenge side of the dry sump pump pumps it back up here into the air oil separator that sits on top of the trans, and back down into the sump, and there's your oil system. So, yeah, what fun. But I'm glad I pulled this apart, because that's not doing me any favors. Let me get this tidied up, and we will have, again, one less thing to do. Boy, I got a lot of one less things to do, don't I? Okay, a little more sleuthing on my part. I really want to understand what's going on with this thing. And here, a little bit better view, you can see the hole. Now, I've been messing with this thing here, and so the hole's bigger than it originally was, but it's in the same place, all the good stuff. But what I was trying to figure out is, you know, I actually did put it all the way back in, and it did not appear that it was really very near this. And so I started looking around to try to figure out what's going on here. And so I sighted down this bore, and it's really difficult to see, but I'm gonna put my finger in the sump opening, and I don't know if you can see, there's a boss right here, which is this boss right here. And you can also see that when I go to put this in, it's got some ability to move. And so, watch what happens when I get it into this location. When it moves, it's actually rubbing up against that boss. And I'm wondering, you can see you can hear it if I rotate this, and you can see it actually marks it. But you can imagine that if somebody got this thing in here and snagged it, like it's snagging right now, it might have just cracked open that little hole on its way to being where it needs to be. So, I think what I'm going to do is, even though I don't think this side is the issue, I'm going to go ahead and knock a little bit of material off here, but I'm also going to knock a little bit of material off of here. And yes, that's going to put metal shavings right into the bottom of my oil tank. But it's so open, I'll orient it back down, wash the crap out of it, and flush everything before it goes back to being mated with the engine, and we should be all set. And I was wrong, these are not $250, they are $280, but at least they come with both seals on them. So anyway, what I thought was just going to be buy a part, put the part in, is now another little side project. But isn't that always the case with these builds? And like I say, is it frustrating? It's, 6 months from now, as you've heard me say, it's going to be just another story about the build. So got to go order those parts and get this thing all tidied up. All right, I was able to get this angle grinder with the carbide tip in there and knock down material off of both those bosses. And then I gave it an initial flush, got all the oil out of it, and I left the oil in there while I was doing the grinding. And I was hoping that that would help keep the material suspended in the fluid. But anyway, I was able to siphon the balance of the oil out, and then I started coming at it, from the, in this orientation. I know this isn't the final orientation, but it's got at least one initial flush, and from everything I can reach and feel and grab, There's none that I can see or get at from this orientation. There's no more metal chips or pieces of a little aluminum from the grinding. And then I did a little test with the piece, and you can see where before I could scrape it against that, I can't scrape it against that at all. And I was careful not to grind through the closed, the blind bosses there. So I think I have solved that problem. And now, like I said, I just got to get the parts here and get this thing back together. Okay, and like I said last time, a lot of one less things to do, and I have a shop helper today. So
hello.
This is my nephew Kevin. He's up for a visit, and I conned him into helping me move heavy things around because look at the size of this guy. He's a freaking giant. Makes me feel like a wimp. Okay, so it was tipped back down. I rolled it out front and used a little bit of engine cleaner and sprayed out the dry sump tank. Made sure it was all flushed of material. Rinsed it out, air dried it, blew air into it and all that. The new oil strainer's in. The sump cover is on, sealed. New drain plug, copper washer and all that. But now we are at the point where that trans is ready to be reoriented on the jack and mated back to the engine. And then it goes back in the chassis, and I have no more excuses but to start working on the wiring because it's just wiring, and this bad boy is going to be ready to start. So here we go, down to it. Well, okay, here we go. The plenum, she is back from powder coat. And if you can detect from my voice that I'm not jumping up and down, I'll show you why. This was JB welded. We knew it was JB welded. I told them it was JB welded, and they said, okay, we'll bake it, we'll off-gas it. If anything goes wrong, we'll take care of it, we'll fill it in. And I'm like, I don't know if this is coming through, but it's like, that ain't gonna work. And he said, it sounded like he did some work on it, and it's like, can you see these? Yeah, you can see these bumps. And, there's stuff like, am I being too picky? It's like, that's not gonna work. It's got like little pocks in it. And, from 5 feet away, yeah, it's like, look at that, it's very cool. Oh, and by the way, this has not been done yet, right? This is gonna get a gray wrinkle on it. So it's just been, it's getting cleaned up right now. So pay no attention to that. And, I could live with the finish. It's not very wrinkly though, as it turns out. And I'm no powder coat expert, but I can tell you that is not okay with me. So, I am going to use the wrinkle paint I got. I got some red wrinkle paint. And, I was talking to the powder coating company, and the guy's like, well, I can strip it, and then we can do this. And I'm like, I'm not going to chase down, it might not work again. So, no, it's like, I've seen that you can powder coat JB Weld, and you can. But I don't know if whatever. You think you're done with something, you're not done with something. And I went ahead and paid them because, they did a bunch of work. But I guess I just expected, it's like, that's not supposed to be painted. You just can't get good help these days. So, it doesn't have to be done right now anyway. And yes, I can run the car like this, but I don't want to put this all together, gaskets and everything, and then take it back apart later. I just don't want to do that. So I am going to go after finishing this myself. Should have done it in the first place. When I look at some of these areas, it's like, I don't know. It's just disappointing. It's disappointing. Especially, I said to him, it's like, that's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's the first thing everybody's going to look at. And essentially, it's got to be perfect. So, not the way I wanted to end my week, but it is what it is. As I say, you've already heard it once this episode. 6 months from now, just another story about the build. Anyway, if you squint, it's mint. And it does look epically cool. This is going to be ridiculous poking out the top of the car. I was ready to be all excited and fired up. I will say, this turned out pretty nice. That looks okay. Although, I don't know. Yeah. I'm taking it on myself. Sorry for the long sob story about the plenum, but you know, it's such a visible thing. It's got to be perfect. What can I say? All right, deep breath and cleansing exhale. Let's not end the week on a down note about this plenum. Let's end it on the up note that I refinished the Cavallino cover plate there for the flapper valve, just in a light silver. And you'll notice it's not a great match to the valve cover, and that's okay because I think I'm going to redo the valve covers in red. I saw another engine done that way, and I thought it was very pretty, and who cares if 360s didn't do that because, you know, it's in the wrong car anyway, right? And the other thing that's happened is I ordered another distraction project. I ordered another valve cover. And the reason I ordered it is because I am not a fan of these fasteners. There's fasteners everywhere. It's very busy looking, and I've come to not like it at all. So I bought another used valve cover, and I am going to remove the bosses that are under here on each side of all of these, and I'm going to move it to the appropriate location so it can be this pickup point for this fastener, so that the coils will be held in by one fastener only, and all this stuff will be gone, and it'll make this look a ton tidier. And no, I'm not going to let that distract me. I'm not going to worry about it as any kind of priority before I get more focused on getting the engine running. But it is a long-term thing I want to do. And so with that, I think I will call it for this week. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. And oh, stay tuned. If you're interested in the kitty update, Waz is doing great. And he has a new roommate, another special kitty. So if you like Waz, you're going to love his buddy. And they are a crack up to watch. So stay tuned for that if that's your thing. And until next time, everybody take care. We'll talk to y'all again real soon. Bye-bye. Okay, what was going to be a Wazo update, well, it is a Wazo update. Here's the little boy. He's doing great. But looky here, Wazo has got a new roommate. And who is this? This is Meep. Meep's another one-eyed kitty. Look at the boy. And he is a super gentle soul. We did a very controlled introduction, and it took them all of about 5 minutes to realize they were soulmates. They are brothers with the one-eyed trait in common. And Meep is literally twice the weight, and Wazo doesn't seem to notice. Wazo goes after him, and they wrestle and have a great time. And we kept them separate in here in the kitty casita when they first got together, just to make sure that there was no shenanigans at night. And after a couple days of that, Meep is now a free roamer in the casita, and they just get along like gangbusters. And if you get a close look, Meep's one eye is a little cloudy, and we're not quite sure. We're not quite sure. Hey, what's up, buddy? Oh, look at the boy. We're not quite sure how well he sees, but it doesn't seem to slow him down. I mean, he's all over the toys. He's quite coordinated. And just like a lot of the kitties we've had here, he pats at you, and it's soft paws the whole time, no claws, and just a great roommate and role model for Waz. And Waz is doing super good. He continues to gain weight, and you can see the energy.
We have to brag on Wazo for just a minute. You know, it was 3 weeks ago yesterday that he had his surgery, and he weighed 1.3 pounds at the time. Yesterday he weighed 2.4.
Yep.
Usually kitties will gain about a pound a month, so he is gaining quickly.
Yeah, he's gaining ahead of schedule, which is really good. We think it's really good, but we think it might be because he was so far behind, because he is a tiny little guy. But look at these guys, and it's so good for socialization, having him be with other kitties and understanding how hard you can bite and how hard you can scratch before it's not acceptable. And that's what other kitties help him do. And Meep, you can see that eye sure doesn't slow him down. He seems to not have a vision problem at this point. And it's nice because, well, I hope that they're kind of distracted by the wand toy, but maybe we'll get some video of them at some point wrestling. It's hilarious. Oh my goodness. What do you think, Waz? What do you think? What's going on with that? Oh, now everybody wants... There he is. There's the boy. Hi, bud. Super friendly guy, and he purrs at the slightest touch. And they're just having a great time. Get him, guys. Boom. And you can see what I mean. Waz could care less if he's half the size of this guy. And they just go at it left and right. All good fun.